Marcus can words come to pass.
On August 17, 1887, in the quiet town of St. Anne's Bay, 50 years after emancipation, the son of a Maroon was born, one who refused to accept the injustices he observed around him as he grew up. While attending school, he developed a healthy appetite for reading, fed by his small library at home. Unable to attend high school because of financial difficulties, Garvey, at age 14, became an apprentice printer for his godfather, Mr. Burroughs. 2 years later, he joined the staff of P.A. Benjamin in Kingston as a printer and quickly became a foreman. But after having joined a workers' strike at the plant, he was relieved of his job. After a brief stint at the government's printing office, he started his own paper, The Watchman. It folded because of poor financing.
Marcus can words come to pass.
At an early age, Garvey began championing the cause of Black redemption, leading the way for the universal freedom of the Black diaspora. He became actively involved in politics, cultural organization, and the trade union movement, and developed a passion for journalism, printing, and publishing. At the age of 20, Garvey made a life-changing commitment.
I ask myself, where is the black man's government? Where is his king and his kingdom? Where is his president, his country, and ambassadors, his army, his men of big affairs?
Garvey could not find the answer, and so took on the task of helping blacks at home and abroad to create their own nation. In 1910, he joined his uncle in Costa Rica and traveled extensively throughout South and Central America, where he observed and was deeply touched by the poor conditions in which West Indian workers lived. Later, he traveled to England and continued his studies in journalism. While there, he consolidated the thoughts and philosophy that he would use to call the Negroes of the world to action. At the age of 27, 5 days after he returned from England, Marcus Mosiah Garvey founded the Universal Negro Improvement Association and African Communities Imperial League. The focus of the organization was to unite all the Black peoples of the world and to establish a country and government that was absolutely and uniquely their own. Garvey's movement ran into trouble with the local authorities and was rejected by the Jamaican people. Undaunted, he traveled to the United States. After visiting several states, he settled in New York. From there, Garvey established several branches of the UNIA across the country, and by 1920, the movement registered over 4 million members. At its peak, the UNIA had over 11 million registered members in 859 branches in over 30 countries. On June 27, 1919, the economic arm of Garvey's liberation movement was incorporated, the Black Star Line. This enterprise was meant to create jobs and business opportunities for millions of blacks worldwide. The business did well in the first year, but ran into financial difficulties soon afterwards. Garvey, his movement, and his philosophy ran into problems with the United States authorities. He was jailed and deported to Jamaica.
Marcus can words come to pass.
Garvey returned to Jamaica to a tumultuous welcome by a large and enthusiastic crowd. He wasted no time in organizing a political movement. He founded the People's Political Party in 1929, the first modern political party in Jamaica. Perhaps Garvey's most outstanding contribution in the quest for the universal emancipation of the Black race was his lifelong, unrelenting efforts to unite and uplift the Black race through a program of self-reliance and education. The thoughts and ideas of Marcus Garvey evolved into a social, political, spiritual, and economic blueprint for the successful development of a Black nation. He advocated Africa for the Africans. He encouraged Blacks to be proud of themselves and of their history, and for them to be self-reliant and strong. In shaping the political destiny of the Black nation, the Declaration of the Rights of the Negro Peoples of the World, adopted at the first International Convention of Negro Peoples held during the month of August 1920 in New York, was a radical document. As a legal instrument, it ranked alongside the Magna Carta and the United States Constitution in that it affirmed and demanded redress for the injustices heaped upon a despised and rejected people by the entire world. The convention was attended by over 25,000 members and delegates from all over the world and demonstrated the power and reach of Garvey's movement. But most of all, it signaled the growing solidarity of the Negro peoples of the world. Garvey called for the emancipation of the mind at the 6th Negro Convention in 1929, held at Edelweiss Park in Kingston. He declared then that after the physical emancipation of slaves, the UNIA should create a second emancipation, an emancipation of the minds and thoughts of the 400 million Negroes of the world. Marcus Mosiah Garvey was not able to totally emancipate his people from their social, economic, and political bonds in his lifetime, but he certainly planted the seeds of Black liberation and redemption across the globe, and the world has not been the same since.
Marcus Garvey words come to pass.
He was a commanding figure, a ruggedly handsome and stylish gentleman who was very sure of himself. He was born William Alexander Clark in Blenheim, Hanover in 1884. At age 20, he did what was typical of many middle-class Jamaicans like himself, migrate to make a life abroad. For the next 30 years, his adventurous spirit took him to several countries, including Panama, the United States, and Cuba. And during his travels, he changed his name from William Alexander Clark to Alexander Bustamante. In Cuba, the seeds of what later became his lifelong passion were planted as he watched Cuban workers agitate for better working conditions. Upon his return home in 1934, at age 50, Bustamante set up his business in downtown Kingston. This brought him in daily contact with the woe and misery of the Jamaican people. He bombarded the Gleaner, the island's main newspaper, with letters about the plight of Jamaican workers. These letters were regarded as hostile and earned him some unsavory labels such as pest, communist, and usurper. Around September 1937, Bustamante seemed to have taken the decision to be the voice of change for the Jamaican worker. He took his campaign to the street corners and homes all over the island. From Westmoreland to Kingston, Bustamante drummed up support, encouraging workers to protest for better working conditions. He was affectionately called Buster or Chief, the champion in the struggle for workers' rights. Those whom he represented stretched from the sugar fields in the west to the docks of Kingston and to the banana fields in the east. And Jamaicans embraced him wholeheartedly. Buster's determination to represent the workers made him a thorn in the side of the colonial authorities. His now famous battle cry, "Shoot me, but let my people go," made him a hero in the eyes of those he represented. The workers' confidence in him translated into mass support for the Bustamante Industrial Trade Union, which he formed in May 1938. In no time, it was a tremendous success. The support also spilled over into the Jamaica Labour Party, which Buster formed in 1943 to compete in the 1944 election, the year of universal adult suffrage. Buster's success in the election carried over to the next election, and he won a second term in office in 1949. He became Jamaica's first chief minister and started the work to get Jamaica to become a part of the British West Indian Federation. Jamaica became a member in 1958 during the term of office of the other political party, the People's National Party. However, Buster later changed his mind about Jamaica being a part of the Federation, as he felt that it would drain Jamaica's resources to help the other British territories. Buster again took up the role of the defender of the Jamaican people, who backed him when they voted by a referendum to withdraw Jamaica from the Federation and start Jamaica's move towards independence. His political first came again when the JLP won the 1962 election, and at age 78, Bustamante was named the first Prime Minister of an independent Jamaica. 2 years later, due to illness, he left the political scene and in 1967 retired from public life. The nation's highest honor, National Hero, was conferred upon Alexander Bustamante in 1967. Here again, he created history, being the only person to have received this honor while still alive. Bustamante lived for 10 years after, basking in the rewards of his labor. Today, there are numerous monuments that honor his memory and the part he played in the history of this nation. Alexander Bustamante died on August 6, 1977, 15 years to the day that he stood proudly to witness his ultimate success for the Jamaican people, independence.
Celebrate the heartbeat of Caribbean culture with Satideh Mawnin runs. Join us on Saturdays at 10 a.m. on YouTube as we showcase the vibrant heritage of Jamaica and the wider Caribbean with 4 incredible women, Sherns, Max, Jackie, and me, Lady D. From powerful stories to cultural traditions, we're bringing the flavor, rhythm, and excellence of the Caribbean straight to you. It's more than a show. It's a celebration of the roots and traditions that inspire and unite us. Subscribe to Inside of the Zone with Lady D on YouTube and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn to stay connected every Saturday at 10 a.m. It's Satideh Morning Runnings. Come feel the vibes. Satideh Morning Runnings, where Caribbean heritage comes alive.
Can you feel the vibe? Give me that beat.
Trending Zone, it's the vibe you know. What's hot, what's new, it's the place to go. In your neck of the woods, we've got the scoop, the buzz, the talk, the inside loop. Thursday, 7:30 p.m. on Center Stage, Inside of the Zone. 2 days. The 5 o'clock hour is hot on Fit FM 96.7, www.fitfmja.com. Your life, your music with Lady D, Denise Gomez, Inside the Zone. Catch me on Monday at 5 p.m. for the Monday Drive, keeping you in the know in the city you walk, drive, and reside. And on Friday, yes, at 5 p.m. for Center Stage, the platform where voices are heard and people connect. From abroad to yard, Trelawney. Join us on the Inside the Zone YouTube channel. We're on a mission to reach 1,000 subscribers and beyond. And we need your support. Like and share. Hit those buttons for exciting content, engaging discussions, and all the latest updates. Together, we can build a vibrant and inspiring community. Don't wait. Hit those buttons today and share it with your friends. Hi, I'm Lady D, Denise Gomez, and I have exciting interview segments and features inside the zone. For recording artists, you can sing? Well, Inside the Zone, second Thursdays at 7:30 p.m. is for you. Writers, share your story, no man, in From the Author Zone on third Thursdays at 7:30 p.m. Male Zone has unbelievably juicy stories of love, heartbreak, and triumph. 7 p.m. has never been this good. On Mondays, it's news, talk, engaging features at 7 in the Monday Drive. And Center Stage has everyone talking on Thursdays. Be a part of the show. Email me insidethezone@gmail.com or call me 914-304-2592. Congratulations to Caribbean Vibes Radio on reaching an incredible milestone, 10 amazing years on the airwaves. A massive shout out to the one and only Chris Welby, a man of God whose innovative and pragmatic vision has catapulted this platform to the top of the broadcasting game. Chris, you've truly got it going on. Your energy, passion, and creativity have made Caribbean Vibes Radio a force to be reckoned with, covering the globe like no one else can. Here's to many more years of groundbreaking success, unforgettable vibes, and inspirational content. Keep soaring, Chris, and keep the vibes alive. Lady D, Denise Gomez Green, host Inside the Zone, a dat me say.
People, come here, so. Come here, so. A time to reflect, celebrate, and uplift as we honor Black History Month. Reflections, our people, place, and time. From national heroes to church leaders, family matriarchs and community builders. Them set the foundation of hope for we and the next generation. So link up Saturday, February 22nd at 10 a.m. Log on to Inside the Zone on YouTube. Join the powerful queens from Yard, Jackie, Shirts, Lady D, and yours truly, Max Poet. Follow us on social media. Instagram at Lady Denise Gomez. Facebook, Inside the Zone. Facebook, Lady Denise Gomez. YouTube, Inside the Zone with Lady D. And we name progress. And we name resilience. And we name Black excellence because we're Black and proud.
Morning. Good morning.
Morning.
Yes. We're there. In the Satideh, we're black and proud.
Where Max?
Max is somewhere. It look like she has you don't know. It's a skyline.
Listen, it's very windy here in Florida.
Oh,
chilly from yesterday, and I think it's affecting our internet all over. So I might be freezing up or up and down and all of that good stuff.
you're on this. You're on this.
Good morning. You all right? So you come back then now.
You and Jackie
Yeah,
on
me
this.
drop off.
You and Jackie,
And Jackie do what?
You and Jackie on the star line. It is a bit challenging out on the high seas.
Oh, you know so.
them special.
Special. Yeah.
Hello. Morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning. We're very early.
Denise Gomez Green.
Yes.
Good morning, Mrs. Shernette Brown.
Sure.
Good morning, Mrs. Max Lyons.
Good morning.
I wonder where all them names are come from.
I tell you.
I wonder which part of our Black history.
Yes.
Those names
Somebody created them.
Them come from Bucky Massa. Bucky Massa passed on the name.
Yeah.
Then take our names and give us their names because them couldn't run up their mouth to say the names we had.
To call our names.
It was too much of an effort. So
that's it.
That is something else.
That's one thing that I always remember. One line from Roots when they were naming Kunta Kinte Toby.
Toby, yes.
And then beat him and all them say, what's your name? He said Kunta Kinte. And them say your name is Toby. And when they don't beat him till up to a pub deporting, I forget just saying name Toby. So who knows where them names are coming from?
Dear God.
Sometimes when you see these names, when you see these names, you wonder because my husband's on his mother's side, his mother's maiden name is Snowball, and it's almost Snowball. You're talking about snowballs from Jamaica. When I came into the family, realizing the name, hearing the name. So to me, it wasn't. I got used to it over the years, but when I realized that it was a little strange to people, or when several years ago, many years ago, we were having they were having a family reunion in Jamaica because every 10 years they moved the family reunion to Jamaica because they're very consistent with their family reunion. They have it every year no matter what. But every 10 years they do a grand one in Jamaica, and they had a hotel that we did the booking, had the whole group, we had many rooms, and they always, it's always big. They have banquet, them have all kind of stuff. It's a lot of them. So when we arrived, they go all out every 10 years, so they make it massive. When we arrived at the hotel, they had the banner. We have used different hotels, but that hotel, they had a banner, hung up in the foyer, in the lobby. Welcome, Snowball family. When all of we are roping them, was like, who know the snowballs? Right. Because they thought the people them thought it was a white set of people.
Oh dear.
With that name.
Interesting.
Yeah, because they was like Snowball. Yes, but that is their name. That is their name. And they're all, there's some
with a name like Snowball, you would have thought.
Huh? Where's Sam, Jackie?
I'm saying with a name like Snowball. I'm saying with a name like Snowball, you would think that we wouldn't have the melanin.
Exactly. So, and I can't tell you how many times over the years when he's been asked for his mother's maiden name. Sometimes you're doing paperwork and they say mother's maiden name, and every time he says Snowball, the people that repeat it and say they always find it so fascinating. But that's what it is, and it's a lot of them.
Wow.
Yeah. So there go the name thing.
Interesting.
There you go. Hey.
Mm-hmm.
So
Very.
you're all well. Jackie greeted us, and we are saying bless ups to you, Jack. It's a great day. I love the
Bless
backdrop.
up to you.
Yeah.
Where is our
It's a hot.
producer this morning?
Yes, and we want to say welcome to our audience who are coming in. At 10 o'clock, I launched a video courtesy of the Jamaica Information Service, and that was centered around national heroes in Jamaica. So this morning we are talking about some reflections. We've chosen to reflect on our heroes. We've chosen to reflect on our church leaders, family matriarchs, and community builders, and all of that, because we know that we are Jamaicans. We were raised to respect and to emulate our heroes and people in our communities who created an impact in our lives. And so many of us can think about, our principals or the pastors of the day in our church, or that lady who everybody ran to for whether it was a counseling or to diffuse situations and to bring families together, where disruptions occurred, all kinds of things. We have to acknowledge people. As I'm talking, I'm just picturing, my grandmother. I'm picturing Mass John, who, was a stalwart in our community. I'm picturing, our librarian, who we grew up with, and it's a posthumous recognition for all three that I've mentioned so far. It's just one of those mornings when you have to say, we thank you.
Yeah.
Because something,
Yes.
seeds were
Absolutely.
planted. Seeds were planted.
Yes. And I'm sure each of us have somebody or a few people like that in our communities that we're from.
Absolutely.
Jamaica. Yeah. Right in my own household, my own mother, whenever she comes here, it's like, people say, oh, Miss G gone again. Because they can't wait for she come back.
Yeah.
Funeral programs, writing a recommendation, signing a letter. You know what my mother did, one of the last things, last time she went down. This lady has never had a birth certificate. And my mother wrote a letter for her. She remembered that my mother knew her from way back. I don't remember the full story. She would have been able to tell you better. But my mother was able to write the letter and confirm that she knew her from when. And I think she may have been even a family member, distant family member. But through that letter and recommendation, this lady was able to obtain her birth certificate. And I think she was able to get married. And this is a grown woman, big woman, older than me.
Wow.
That's major. That's major.
That is something.
She came back and thanked her, because if it wasn't for her, she wouldn't have gotten the papers together and all of that. So
go figure.
I honor my mother this morning.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mom. Hey.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yes.
Yeah.
Welcome, everyone. Yes. Welcome, everybody. I'm not sure how many persons had logged on, or maybe I'm not sure if they did and said, I wonder if the show is on, because, we were showing the video. But, we did that so that everybody could say, oh, yes, this is what they said they were going to do, and so on. So we welcome you. As you're coming in, please share the link with someone and invite them to watch the show. And invite them to watch the show. So welcome, morning. Black history. So we know we have our heroes, our national heroes. And I'm not sure if any of you ladies wanted to do anything on them, or we can run the video and we'll talk about, people in the community and all of that.
Sorry, but I have a short video on YouTube that I did a few years ago about Marcus Garvey, and It's like a honoring him. Then it's not pretty long, but it's on YouTube.
So
I
what's
don't know if
the
you can find it, but if
what?
not, that's okay.
No. What is it? What's
If, if,
the should I search for?
if you you'd have to put my name in and probably just put my name with Marcus Garvey. I don't remember the
Okay.
title of it, but it's on YouTube.
Mhm.
Yeah, well, I was someone to have done that article a few years ago by somebody in Philadelphia who does a show every year to honor them, and that year in particular, he was honoring Marcus Garvey and asked me to do the article. As a matter of fact, they wanted me to come to the show, but I couldn't go, so I did the video, and it was posted on
Okay.
YouTube, and they
All
showed
right.
it at the event.
Okay, I found it. So welcome everyone. This is what you call the show. We just roll like that, you know.
Yes.
So I'm gonna share that.
Where's our producer? I didn't say
Well,
good morning to producer.
I was getting to that because producer has to go on a mission this morning, so he's unable to join us. Yes, but he says he miss me. No, he miss.
Okay.
Me know he miss me, but
And we miss him too.
yes. So welcome everyone. Here
Yeah,
is a
that's it.
feature. Here's a feature courtesy of our very own Max Poet doing her thing
Max
here
Poet.
on a Saturday morning show. Here we go.
Howdy do to everyone, and a wonderful National Heroes Week to all. My name is Maxine Lyons, aka Max Poet, and I want to say thanks to Mr. Rattler for inviting me to be a part of this great celebration. Today, my hero of honor is the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey, the man with a plan. He was born on August 17, 1887, in the parish of St. Anne, Jamaica, where he was named Marcus Mosiah Garvey, but is affectionately called Marcus R. Garvey. He was a prominent political leader and championed civil rights, an entrepreneur, and a great orator. Marcus was a man who spoke, lived, and practiced justice, but to whom injustice was served. He experienced racism of the highest order from an early age, not because of his name or so much the color of his skin, but more so because of his knowledge and education and the fact that he fought hard to win the rights of his people. He spoke truth that hit the core of the soul of those who were against him. He was bold, honorable, and fearless, even behind bars. Garvey established the Universal Negro Improvement Association in Jamaica and traveled to the United States, where he formed the New York division in Harlem. Here he spoke economics, political and social freedom of Black people. During this era, he published Negro World, which was an attempt to spread the message of discrimination and racism. The name Marcus Garvey is closely associated with the Black Star Line, which he himself established in 1919, a shipping company that operated through the UNIA to set up trade and commerce with Africans in North and South Americas, with African nations and the Caribbean. The M in his name represents the great mannerism and meticulousness which he displayed throughout his lifetime. A displays the activism, awareness, and artistic culture he cultivated with pride. R speaks the volume of the racism he experienced and fought hard to abolish. C shouts the common sense, consciousness, and care he had for his countrymen and women, to whom he imparted knowledge and begged to stand up for justice. U depicts the unconditional love and unity he displayed and fought for even when he was imprisoned. S shows his strength, suffering, and stardom, even in the face of audacity and animosity. He was a prophet in his time, whose prophesying has come to pass in our time. As the words of the song by our legendary Burning Spear says, Marcus Garvey words come to pass. Can't get no food to eat, can't get no money to spend. This is happening right before our very eyes. His name will always be remembered and never be forgotten. He paved the way so that you and I are able to speak truth and be heard, act and be seen, and in some cases get justice. Marcus lived with honor and died for principle, and for that reason, he deserves our honor and respect. His belief was, and I quote, "You can shackle the hands and feet of a man, but you cannot shackle his mind." End of quote. Marcus Mosiah Garvey fought hard. He fought long, but in the end, he was wronged. Though he wanted peace, they gave him war. But today, he is still our star that continues to shine down on us. Thanks for paving the road, Marcus. And for us, it will always be one love. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Sure, go on, Maxie, go on. Go on.
All right, Miss Lyons,
Thank
are you
you.
back?
That's it.
That's lovely.
I mean that.
Lovely. Yeah.
Man, you
Thank
didn't
you.
look like Miss Lou. You didn't look like Miss Lou bad, right? That's all.
No,
Yes,
man, she
yes,
bring the red and the black and green. Very, very
Yes.
nice. Very, very good.
It was
Nice.
intentional.
Right from
you.
my own parish. Marcus Garvey, Bob Marley, come from my own parish.
Glad for you.
Okay.
Very happy.
Sure.
Proud.
Very happy for
Yes,
you.
very nice.
Let's do both.
Same hands all the way.
Let's do historical
Good start.
boasting. Let's do historical boasting. Jack. Good morning, everyone. We're reflecting on our people, place, and time. It's Saturday morning runnings. It's our Black History feature of the show. And as you're approaching the bus stop to get off to come into the community center, remember to say morning to somebody and tell them that me are going, so you know, I'm sure go on. So you just kindly. All right. So it's so good that we have this opportunity to reflect and so on.
Yeah.
Thank you, Max, for your piece.
You're welcome.
It was well done. We thank you. And you look same way. How long ago that was now?
What year was that? I don't remember. I don't remember what year it was. Maybe 2016 or 17, maybe.
If you go back, you'll see it on it.
Okay, well, good.
Yeah, the date is there, but I don't remember.
Hello.
Yeah, tongues.
Well,
me drink Kangen water.
Black don't crack, you know. Black don't crack.
There you go.
Oh, you know so.
Okay. Yeah, but every now and then we do have to pause and honor our ancestors because we have all, you know, in some shape or form migrated all over the world, and we pride ourselves on being found all over the globe. But unless we unless we really cling to our roots, you know, we will attach ourselves to anything and any form of other beliefs and so on. And sometimes we see where, you know, our Black people have gravitated towards some very strange things, and we wonder how did they end up there, or embracing. I mean, we can embrace other cultures, yes, but we have to always remember our roots. You know what I mean? Somebody, I forgot who now said it.
Very important.
If you don't remember your roots, you know, you are just a piece of wood. You really need to stay alive with your culture. Keep it alive in as much as you are able. So, you know, so from the wisdom, I'm all for, you know, keeping alive the wisdom passed down, you know, from our grandparents, their parents, or the traditional things, even remedies, the traditions, so on. Yeah, because sometimes with education, and education is great, as we know, but sometimes the tried and true and the old stuff that I mean, they said nothing is new under the sun, and the more we reach for new things, the more we gravitate invariably towards the old things. Because nothing wrong with the old stuff. It might look antiquated, stuff like that, because of how it was done. You know, processes and so now that we can put in place to
do certain things. But even sometimes by, with sickness, and even now with the rise of measles, I was telling somebody this week that now that they have the measles outbreak and they're running for vaccine, and who wasn't vaccinated and all that. I can remember when I had measles, my grandmother used like home remedies and little things like that.
Yes. You never go to a doctor.
Not true. So sometimes those things we keep and pass on, because then
moms,
still, yeah.
And moms, you remember when people had moms?
I remember when I had measles.
They would warm the tuna and tie on the tuna upon your face. The face.
Yes.
You see this thing tie around the head. Come around.
Yes. And for me, my brother used to get the sarsi bush. And then rub up the sarsi bush in water and bathe you in it. And that took away, dry up all the bumps and stuff that you had on your skin. We never went to any doctor and get no vaccination.
Yeah, no. I had smallpox.
It was strictly bush.
Yes, you did.
And then rub me down with bush and something, and it was better.
Yeah.
And look on Lady Denise skin.
Yes, because I don't even have any I don't even have any
spots.
No, I don't.
I mean, when we were growing up, you only tell you go to a doctor when you're dead.
Yeah.
You have to be dying to go to a doctor when I was a kid. I'm telling you, you have to be dying.
Yeah.
And that's why I ended up with the ruptured appendicitis. Because I remember one Sunday morning I woke up and I have this pain in my belly button, and they did me a ball and me have fever, and they put me say go lie down. And the Monday morning I couldn't go to school. I got up with the pain, and the pain got more severe. And my grandmother, she was an England then, and she was about stuff packed to go at home, so she can't carry me go to the doctor. So she asked my mother to take me to the doctor. I went to the doctor, and not to be Dr. Martin. Never forget this big fat doctor. And we were there all day, and at the end of the day, when the doctor eventually see me, because we were at the private practice, they just got tired of appendicitis, and they took me. I had to walk, even though I was in pain. Little picking, 10 years old. Walk from the doctor office to the hospital, which was not too far, but it was still a walk. And that was when I discovered I really had appendicitis, and it was ruptured.
Oh my
goodness! It was ruptured. Burst inside my belly, yes. Yeah, and I had to get instant surgery. So I'm saying this to say that back then we never get check up and see doctor for no physical and no nothing. When you're dead, you go a doctor. Because bush and bitters and stuff were all the remedies that we used then.
But everything had to fail. Everything had to fail before. Before they decide. I mean, some people were worse than others. I have a classmate that ended up losing her leg. She lost one leg because I think it was a case of running and falling down and something, but it was a bad break, and of course the parents were treating it topically, and you can't treat a break topically. She was young. They should have taken her, like you said, Max, after you suffer whole night, pain next day, pain and all that, there comes a time when you have to say, no, man, this thing is probably more than meets the eye, and go to the doctor. But
so that's why as much as we embrace the traditions of our ancestors, we still have to appreciate where we've come, because it's because of what they used to use and what they used to do. They have studied and brought us to where we are now in medicine, especially.
Right.
Yeah.
So we can appreciate.
Yeah, because a lot of the traditional bushes that we use, then they use them in medicine.
Traditions that they have improved on.
Yes.
Right. It's still there, but it's just modernized. It's just modernized. Yes. It's encouraging parents to if your child is having this kind of a pain in their lower abdomen, take them to the doctor immediately. Don't wait. So we've come much further in that. It's because of those things, the traditions that we had, that they see where we've lost people because we did not take action. So they have improved on that because of study. and research. So
thank you, Jack.
The traditions are still there because people still use their traditional medicines and stuff. But
yes. All right. So good morning. Let's just quickly acknowledge our guests, and then we can start as we said, the ball rolling. So Drea was first in line. Good morning, Drea. Charles is here. She says good morning.
Yes.
Charlie and Saturday morning.
Morning.
Pat is here early as a bird.
Pat,
Pat, you're not
are
late.
you home today? Are you still at work? Because Pat always
the king has entered.
Okay. Yeah.
It is cold.
This is my brother-in-law. Hey, Mike, morning. He's there in Tower Hill. It's not too cold. Well, hey, how much we Sharon, so what is our degree this morning here? Our degree is saying 31, which is a step up from the most recent.
Yeah, because yesterday we were at 21. So today we are 31. We're getting warmer.
Yes.
Yes, I heard that.
We're having
I heard that you guys are at 20 in the 20s yesterday.
We're having a heat wave now.
We're going up to
31 versus
45
21 is like a heat wave.
What you have, Max?
We're at a cool 68 this morning.
We're in the 30s too.
30, wow.
We're in the 30s too.
Georgia is in the 30s.
It's been really very cold.
Is a heat wave at this point.
Oh wow.
Such a, you know what, Sharon.
That is why my grandparents never wanted to come here. My grandfather, when he look at the TV and he would see, like we're watching movies and it's winter, and you know that you can see the vapor out your mouth because your body is warm and the air is cool.
Yes.
He used to say, Sharon, me no want go foreign. And I say, why, daddy? And I say, everybody are foreign smoke. Don't worry, they didn't pick me them and smoke. When I'm not you can't see the smoke. And me say, daddy, no. I said, because the time smoke, he said, smoke, them a smoke. Lord have mercy.
Oh, Lord.
Oh,
Jesus.
Okay, I want the good. Yes, Grandpa. Everybody's for real.
You know, speaking of traditions and things, you know, like Jackie just said, you know, you improve upon things and you move on, because with time and knowledge, you should really increase in some amount of wisdom and all that. And if you make an error several times before, you learn from that and you can benefit and go on. So sometimes, you know, we the root is usually what our ancestors have passed down, and it is given to them by their forebears. So sometimes by the time it gets to us, it's been tried and true. It's been rinsed over and used and reused. So
and watered down.
We may put a different spin on it, but at the root, it's the same thing.
It's the same thing.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
All right. So let's continue with the quick shout outs. It's going to 11 o'clock, so we need to really start talking. Arlene, you remember this song? Arlene, I must see dream you the dream. You remember
dream your dream.
Yes. Morning, Arlene.
Forget that.
Good to have you. Shanna. Hey, Shanna. Good morning. Who else is popping in? Let me see. The king entered the room. Hey. Morning, King. Hey, Anna. Hey. Morning, Anne. Howdy. And Ralphie's in the house.
Greetings.
Oh, Brother Ralph.
Yeah.
Greetings.
Hi, Ralphie.
Arlene says, I chased everyone off my phone just to join the wonderful group.
Well, we appreciate love you,
Arlene. I love you all. Blessings, Arlene.
Much love to you, Arlene.
We appreciate you.
Well, a pleasant good morning to Miss Sharon. Good morning, Cher. I am so happy you're here with us. Make we talk up the things now. Okay.
Sharon, so yes,
she goes to church. No, Cher goes to church with me.
Oh.
Yeah, she's okay. So, you know, yes, we're talking about our trailblazers or heroes and how, you know, the icons like the Nanny of the Maroons and the Paul Bogle and the Sam Sharp and the George William Gordon, Marcus and Norman. And, you know, these are warriors who fought for freedom, justice, and self-determination. Right?
Oh, yeah.
We featured Marcus earlier in the video. Perhaps most of you missed it. But of course, his vision of Black pride and economic empowerment, inspiring the Pan-African movement. Then there is good old Paul Bogle and Sam Sharp's sacrifice in leading rebellions that paved the way for the abolition of slavery. I used to love when I am doing history and just hearing about the lives of these men and their self-sacrifice.
Yes, me too.
How their struggles and victories still shape our identity as Jamaicans and as members of the African diaspora, or we say diaspora, whichever one you choose. Right. But we also talk about
the one you choose.
Yes. So let's now veer. So we acknowledge them. And yes, they have done their work and are at rest. I mentioned about our church leaders. So we want to big up Max. I send the script and Max just dropped the video.
Let me tell you.
Listen to me, man. Every time me and Eval keep looking back at it, I'm like, boy, Max, because initially I thought of Jack, but then Jackie wasn't available.
Yes.
And then as I saw Max doing it, I'm like, this was Max's script.
Oh, yeah.
So Max.
Yeah.
And
I literally jumped. When I played it the first time, I literally jumped like...
She frightened you.
People don't come here.
Yeah, because I'm loud and aggressive.
No, that's what it's called for.
That is what it was needed.
That's what it's called for.
Right,
Speaking of
yeah.
aggressive, as Jamaican people, we are often told, I don't want to say criticized. I want to say we are often told that we are loud and aggressive. When we enter our room.
And bold.
Bold. When we enter our room, people know one yard is about.
Yes.
Everybody has to know one yard is there.
We know coming and we are not fearful of our accent. We will just go in and, like Lady said, diaspora. We will just chop it which way we find comfortable at the time. And it's usually refreshing. I have to say, I've been in many a situation when a Jamaican enter man. And if you are the only one there, right away you feel like more empowered.
Sparks fly.
Yes,
and that is why people tend to think that, at least back in the day, I don't know about it so much now, but back when I was in the corporate world and in the city and in certain settings, whenever another Jamaican would enter the picture, they would say, and they would see us talking, and they would say, because I remember when I was at my first job, I was the only Jamaican there. Well, I was the only woman of color there for a while. And then when one another lady came, she was American. And then a couple years later, a Jamaican girl came. And we hit it off, and we would just start going to lunch, and we start talking. And they thought we knew each other. From whenever. And she was she parents were Jamaican. She was born here, but she grew up, chatting patois, and you would think she was born in Jamaica. And I had to say, no, I don't know her. And they would say, but how you all just hit it off, and you have so much in common, and we thought, but
that's we're Jamaicans. That's how we see it.
Yes,
it's culture. It's culture.
And we light up the place.
Let me tell you something.
Exactly. 1 minute, Max. Because of that, people tend to think we're too much.
Sometimes they tell us
we're little much.
Just us.
But it's just so we see.
But you know what? We get a lot of attention for it too. Whole lot of attention. Because Norman and I, we have done background in movies, and every time we go on a different set, people literally come and sit with us and sit around us to hear us talk. Oh, I love your accent. The first thing they start talking about is the food. Oh, you're Jamaican. Oh, I love your curry chicken. And they carry on, and some of them befriend us in order for us to bring food. They befriend you, give you their number because they love your accent, they love your food, and they just gather around you.
But you know what? When I was going down the other day, a young lady was sitting next to me on the flight. And, we started talking. And she said, all I'm going for is to eat.
Oh, dear.
She said it's because it was a few of them on the flight. She said, we are all going down there just to eat. because she didn't even know I was Jamaican. So I said, well, I said I live here, but I live there. And she said, oh, you're so lucky. She said, we're just going to eat. We're going to go there, eat for a week. And she had her entire list. I think she said that was her like 4th or 5th time.
Yes.
But she said, we're just going to eat.
That's right.
I said, okay.
So we're even envied for that, you know. On social media, we're even envied for that. I've seen a few posts where there's people are saying, oh, Jamaicans show up because we think we're the only one who can cook. Everything Jamaica, this and Jamaica that. Even yesterday I saw a video of that nature where they were somebody was talking about when they were showing all different dishes, but somebody was saying, oh, we think we're the only one who can cook. Everything is Jamaican. But it is what it is. Sorry, don't envy us.
We just put our spin on it and put a stamp on it and say Jamaican.
Never
You
mind.
cook it a different way.
Yeah.
It's not that it's ours, but we have taken it, put our spin on it and stamp it Jamaican. You can do the same too.
Right.
Put my spin on it and stamp it with your name.
Yes.
So
my mother,
but we just gonna make it known.
You just
we just gonna make it known that this is the Jamaican way.
Yeah.
When I walk.
I think do you want it to be veering off?
Yeah. Yes, let's give the people what they want. Okay. So yes, so a part of our history is our cuisine. The flavor.
Yes.
Right? How the camaraderie when we meet.
Right.
How we savor the food, because when we eat, we say, boy, that one you hit this spot, and you lick your finger, you lick your plate, all of them, because as children, when you're growing up, spare the plate. Me don't know who did.
No,
but most people not spare the plate. And if I may say, it's just the other day, Eval cooked something and me use my finger because the fork wasn't doing the trick.
Right.
So me use my finger and
wasn't
wipe
doing
out.
justice.
Right.
Right. So at some point, that part of you going pop out. But talking about your community, so we are reflecting rather on our church leaders, educators, just about everybody we can think of who helped to shape us as we were growing up. And we talk about our church leaders, and they were the spiritual still, but we're talking about Black history, the spiritual backbone of our communities, because we know that the church as a refuge, a place of empowerment, and a driver of social change, right?
Oh yeah.
And so when we remember some of our pastors and bishops, deacons, evangelists, I don't know, all the people, those who would ensure that the church grounds clean and they give it their all. And
yes,
I grew up learning how to clean church.
Oh, we all have to do that.
Me too.
Right? So
Me too.
That also helped to shape our appreciation for the house of God. It helped to shape our appreciation for, being dutiful, diligent as we are doing our tasks, be it home or church. There was a pride. I knew when it was my week to go, I'm on a team. They put us in teams to help to clean the church. And I learned about cleaning church toilets.
To clean the church.
Hey, so you had those people who helped to shape us. Deacon Morrison was one of our deacons. And you see, Deacon Morrison, now come is either you pull up yourself, so. Because those people, they commanded respect, respect.
Respect, yes.
In my community, we had a branch of a Baptist church. So there was a larger Baptist church that the branch belonged to, but in my district, my grandfather attended the Baptist church, but my grandmother attended the Pentecostal church, and it was a woman pastor. She originally was not from our district, but she settled there, however long before I knew myself, and she commanded a lot of respect just by being who she was. Where she lived across the street from the church, and the crossroads was, as we would say, maybe a good 6-7 blocks away up the road. And the crossroads had a big shop, and they had a bar and so on, and they had jukebox, and they would be selecting music and playing and hitting dominoes, and the men would be drinking their rum and milk, and they would be carrying on. And I do not to this day know what her first name is. Her last name was Scott. So they call her mother Scott or sister Scott. But whenever she would whenever she would leave her home, just by walking on the street and heading up the road, they would stop the jukebox playing. They would quiet down the domino. And for anybody who had a little loose lip, who would chip a little colorful word here or there, somebody would whisper, say, Sister Scott, come. And just like how they talk about Deacon Morrison, they would literally drop. You would see grown men. You could hear a pin drop, and when her shadow would be in this spot, everybody would greet her very effusively,
Yes, ma'am.
Scott, how you doing? Yes, ma'am. So and so, yes, ma'am. And she would say, I want to see you in church, so and so, and she'd get a little word and she laughed with them. And as soon as she was out of earshot, everything started up back again.
Yes.
Those few moments.
Of course.
I know that kind of moment. I experienced that with Norman's dad, Shirley, the very same experience I had with Norman, that he wasn't a pastor or anything, but in the community where Norman grew up, and of course they had a grocery shop is still there. He was the kind of person we commanded respect to. When he drove his car, he drove a purple burgundy Cortina. And when him driving from work, and anybody that's in the shop and he's coming, no matter how much noise is in the shop, how much cussing, how much drinking, when he enters that shop door, everybody goes silent and quiet.
Wow.
They refer to him as King Kong. That was his nickname. But that King Kong was on the car behind his back, not in his face. But everybody to come, and everybody will be quiet and respectful of him because he commanded that. Because he was the person in the street everybody would go to get a letter written, or to get recommendation or paper to sign, form to fill out. It was him. So I know that kind of a situation where you just get that respect because of who you are. Yes. And that's pretty good.
Yes, it is. Yeah. Because my grandmother, one second, Jack. My grandmother was a JP and a wonderful woman. Very, tell her, she will tell you what she think. She no hold back. Very straightforward, but very loving. And I mean, people would come to Mama. She used to pay coffee bonus. And people would come in and get their monies, and she write recommendations and all of those things. You say, Miss Ruby, everybody just direct you to the house. Then you had Deacon Johnson and Evangelist next door. And then you had Pappy, who was the bishop, pastor and bishop and, lead for the prophecy in that district and so on. And everybody, know these people in the community. And no matter where you are, if you see them or you say you go down a Pappy Graham church, that kind of thing. And they left their mark. You walk past the house, you remember them. You picture his wife, Mammy, sitting on the veranda. You walk day and night until late night, see her after that. But that was her space. She sit on the veranda, and I tell you, I was just a child, reckless. I would be riding my bicycle without the brake, passing the gate, and she would remind me it's time to go, kind of thing. Here you have those people. You were about to say now, Jack, take the floor.
No, I was gonna say, when you think back at like our grandparents and even people before them, something
Oh, she did say that the
It
wind
did.
affects.
Then my
It's breaking
Jack
up.
was freezing a while ago.
Repeat yourself.
Yes, no, I'm saying when you think about what they did from then, your grandparents, the people before then, some of the things that they did, it's like they were way ahead of their time.
Yes.
You know, because when I think that my grandparents moved from a place called Fort George to St. Anne, where my mother lives now, and purchased a piece of land, there were very few people in that area, living in that area. And then Kaiser, the bauxite company, started relocating people from up in the hills of like Alexandria and Buxton and those places, relocating them because they were doing the bauxite mining in those areas. So they relocated some people and built some basic houses that they all look alike throughout the district.
Right.
There weren't a lot of them.
Yes.
Right. Go through the district even today.
The prefabricated houses,
Yes.
they just drop them and you do whatever you
I don't know if they're prefab. They were just constructed a certain way. And as you go through the district, you can tell that this was one of them, even though they were from way back.
Houses.
Then, right. So they were they just moved into the district. And the first church to be built in the district, my grandfather built that church. And it's there.
Nice.
That's where most of the members now have died and gone on. And the church is mostly locked up now that my mother took it over. But that church, we hope to put their names, my grandfather's names on it. Put their names on it, dedicated to them. But they went in the district and realized that there was a need for a clinic. There was no clinic for the women to go to if they were pregnant, they would have to walk for miles to, I think, either Bamboo or St. Anne's Bay for miles. And they started to have like a nurse, I don't remember if they call them a district nurse or whatever, have them come into the district so people could at least go to see a medical professional at some point. So say once a month, they would come and the district people would go in. Then when my grandfather started to link with like the other churches, they would have people come from abroad and they would come and they test their eyes and stuff like that. So they were like the people who did the first of certain things in that district.
Yes.
And the first bus trip to leave that district was my grandfather. And they told him that he couldn't do it. And he brought one of those big buses, like the big, the big market bus, something like that. Brought it into the district and took people out of the district. They didn't believe that it was possible. And on the morning when the bus showed up, people were running to get on the bus because that was the first to get on the bus. When my mother should give you that story, it gives you chills.
Where was the bus going?
They were going to, I think, I remember if that's St. Thomas Bath or some place like that.
Yeah, I know.
But it's the first, they were coming out of the...
Or to a beach
yes,
somewhere.
Out of the district. They were definitely out of St. Anne. They were going either to Kingston or Bath, one of those places. But people were running. That bus was full. That was the first bus trip some people were going on.
That used to be
I honor my grandparents.
Yeah, that used to be a thing. Because some people, they used to, my grandfather used to say motor. They never take motor from them barn. It would be donkey riding or walking. Just to sit in a car was a big. If a car moved from point A to point B was a big. Then I come and say, you never see me in the motor.
Why turn? Your people were a sample.
Yes, it was a big.
That's true. That's what my grandmother called it too, motor. Yeah, everybody's gonna get drive.
Exactly.
Oh my God.
And
but
you will be the next however long.
Yes.
Yeah, Jackie, but just to go back to what you were saying, y'all should do a plaque and erect something in the You know, because like they say, it's never
Right,
too
in
late
their
to
honor,
do what
yes.
is right.
Yes, that's in the
That's
making.
well deserving
That's
of.
in the making.
That's well
No, that-
deserving of. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
good.
But
That's
I
good.
too
And of
would
course,
like to
Yeah.
reflect on
ceremony and
my
everything.
grandmother.
I
Yeah.
mean, and this is over what? The church, my mother was telling my brother the other day, the church was built in what, 1961?
Okay.
That's not so bad.
1961.
That's
Yeah.
not bad.
That's not
Or
old.
something like
A
that.
brand
Yeah.
new church that.
Not true.
Yes. So Arlene says in Jamaica, I had to call everyone uncle and aunt, though
Yes.
we were not related, just
Yes.
because they were
Not
older
related,
than us.
yes.
Yes. Arlene, where is your sister? Where is Sissy? All right.
Yes.
So welcome if you're just joining us. It's Black History Month, or Reflections, or People, Place, and Time. And you know you're there Saturday morning runnings. This is how we roll over here. So we're talking about the role of the church. And of course, we can talk about the role of the church in education, in mentorship, and uplifting the youth. You know, how gospel music, prayer, and worship continue to sustain us through trials and
Oh
triumphs.
yes. Oh
Right?
yes. Oh
On
yes.
Yes.
Thursday, I was
Mhm.
playing some real Black gospel songs. And as I was playing them, you know, it kind of taking us to
Negros.
yes, and
Spirituals.
some Negro spirituals. And
Yes.
Yeah.
You remember?
yeah, man.
Yeah, a
They,
lot of
they,
time when you listen to certain
they
music,
had
it takes you back to a place that you were when you were younger. Yes.
Yes,
Yeah, it
yes.
yeah,
always
you were
does.
playing
But
Going Up Yonder Lady Day.
Going
I
up
was
yonder, I
listening
could
and
be
I said, wow.
freedom.
And it
Yeah.
was a very old version. I
Mhm.
remember when I was, oh my, I can't even tell how old I was. I may have been, I wasn't a teen yet, that much I'd remember. I must have been probably a tweener. You know what a tweener is, right? You're approaching like 13.
Between. Yes.
Between.
yes,
But my grandfather
between.
played the guitar and he had taught my cousins, the boys. I don't know why he didn't do the girls. Me and my cousin as the girls in the group. He never taught us, but he taught her brothers who were, you know, my cousins. And so all the boys could play guitar. And I'm used to having guitar music playing at home.
Mm-hmm.
So like Jackie was talking about
Okay.
Negro spiritual, they were having a program at church and there was a cultural part and they were doing a Negro spiritual. And I was so into it, man. You know, you line up and, but it was rehearsal, but it was like grand rehearsal, final rehearsal. And we were lined up and we were dancing, you know, we were supposed to move a certain way. But I happened to be at the end and then my cousin was playing the bass. And him just start going at the bass just nice and easy. I mean, I
You are
feel
going at the dancing.
yeah, so me start, you know, put a little extra dip and them run me off, you know. And I mean, and it's not no, we would be mindful of how the child would feel. We would, you know, we wouldn't. I mean, in front of everybody, them shame me, man. The director run me off and say, what do you think me is? And
yes,
with this worldly. I mean, I look here, I'm a little girl. Me don't know nothing about no worldly dance. I wasn't all
You were just
that
enjoying the
okay.
music.
Exactly. So me cousin just like running the bass and me have hear the doom doom doom. And me I say, yeah, and me are going. Them one here, and you know, they never made me man. They never allowed me to perform, you know.
I wonder if them would think that way. I wonder if they would think that way today.
As I said before.
You know what, Church?
Uh-huh.
They don't realize that a lot of people don't realize that the human body is set to music. Our bodies are naturally set to music. So it's natural for us when you hear a beat to move, because that's how your body's in a rhythm.
Yeah.
So you can't help it. You can't help it.
Yeah,
it's a natural feeling.
The first rhythm of the body. The first rhythm of the body is your heartbeat.
So a lot of people don't realize that.
There you go.
Your heartbeat.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Morning, morning, Gritly. You're there. You're there. Morning. So, you know, yes. So we're talking about the influence of the church and the people and so on. And I'm enjoying it. And, you know, something I think about on the education aspect of it, because in our communities, most of us had a library. Any of you ladies had library in your community? So we had a library
at home. I'll tell you about that.
So Florette, the late Florette Barnett, oh Lord, Flo was our librarian. And I'm telling you, it was like 2 houses away from my house. And that's where we would congregate after school. When we get home after school, we go lime out up a library, man. If you want, we up a library. Unless some of us are riding the no-brake bicycle all over the place. But on that, you can find we up a library. And Florette really influenced us into the principle of reading and reading anything you could find in the library to read.
Yes.
Fiction, non-fiction, everything in the library. And she was a great librarian, part of the community. She was the one who, through the library, hosted, movie night in the community. You put up your projector and thing, and a big white sheet stitch up together and create a screen and all of those things. And I want to remember.
We're coming from afar.
Yes, I want to remember her because she died, about she died maybe about in 2016 or so. But Flo was the life of the party. And that library space really empowered a lot of us.
Yes.
It did a lot.
Well, for some of us.
Whether she won second jack, whether she was vigilant in ensuring that we read, or she had planned some beach trip. By the way, that is the beach trip that we had gone on to, and then they had parked up at Sunrise Inn, and we couldn't go in. And then we did end up sneaking there, and that's the first time I saw go-go dancing.
Wow. You're gonna go, lady.
My Lord.
No.
Seriously.
Oh my goodness.
It's the first time. Sorry. But it's a mixed crowd, mixed group of people who went.
Yes.
So we were not of age to go inside the club with them. And I don't even think they were mindful that they're going to leave us in the van with no
adult curiosity got the best of you.
With no adult supervision. So and here is a dark parking lot. And so my sister and I decided, we're not staying in here by ourselves. And I think few other young ones too. And so we sneak into the back of the place, sit down, and I watch this black girl in a white bikini outfit and her white boots. I can't forget. And she move up her body.
Don't stay in your mind.
I know. Me, I tell you. And then it was my sister who laughed out. You're their country. Who laughed out and said, "Watch her bottom."
And then get you not to go out.
And that blew the whistle.
Them out of order to leave you guys in a car in the thing by yourself. Them out of order.
The members of the system of the Jamaica Library Service has really done wonders for many of us. So I will leave.
Yes, because
I cleared the
remember, I wanted to talk about that because some of us did not have direct access to a library. So what they used to do, they used to have the library van come around.
Yes,
I remember the library van.
The library van would come around.
The bookmobile.
Yeah. And one of the main places it would stop was at my mother's gate because my mother was an avid reader. And she got us into
alone full out the library van. The whole heap of
listen, Listen, to my sister, I know sometimes she would, because she's the last one, she never have to do much. So all she did was read. One of the times they couldn't find her, you know what, they go find her up in a mango tree for hours. They couldn't find her. They must look down the whole place. Out to the call police. She was up in a mango tree reading. Sit down up in a mango tree, read till she fall asleep. But the library man used to come to the gate and stop, and then whatever we read and finished with, we used to we couldn't wait for the library van to come, because you want the other series of the series that you're reading, and the library van would come and stop at the gate and so on. And then in the meantime, my mother, wherever she went and saw books, she would bring them in, and she would purchase encyclopedia. People used to go around, just like how they used to go around and sell vacuum cleaners. So they used to go around and sell library books. So she got a whole library, and she built a library in the house with Encyclopedia International. So wherever we went, when she left and went back to Grandma's house, she brought the the books that she acquired, and people from the district now were coming to the house to do research. You have young ladies now going out to study and so on from the district, and they needed research. So the library, they would come to the library at the house, and my sister made up library cards. I helped her to make library cards, and people would come and rent books. But the sad thing about that is some people did not bring the books back.
Bring them
back. And those served us for years until we didn't need them anymore. And now they had access to them, and they started to take the books and did not bring them back. So that crashed.
People don't even read books anymore. It's funny, because technology has changed the world so much that people don't even read books anymore. Everything you want to find out or learn, or you run to Google, or you run to whatever, YouTube, wherever you can go research. But before we end the show, I just want to mention about my grandmother, because a lot of times people ask, you talk about your grandmother, you don't say much about your mother. And the reason for that, ladies and gentlemen who are listening, I was grew up by my grandmother. It was my mother that grew me up. My grandmother's who raised me from a little girl into an adult. And she means a whole lot to me. And I have to always mention her. I write about her, I talk a lot about her, because she's my hero. Let's put it that way, my matriarch. She was community personnel. Everyone in the district knew her. She was the nurse, the doctor, the counselor, the caretaker, the everything that you can think of. She did it. She delivered babies, yes. She delivered 5 of my mothers, 5 of my siblings, and every other young lady in the district who got pregnant, she delivered them. Sometimes free, sometimes for little and nothing. For one $25 or whatever it was back then. It was just free service. When she did iglering, when she goes to Kingston to shop or to sell her little load and people, everybody would bring a note over. Miss May buy this, they wrote it down. She couldn't read it now. But they'd write down whatever they want on paper. I would read it to her, and then when she go town to buy them, she asked somebody to read it back to her. Then she'd come back with everything that was asked of her to purchase. Even fabric she would buy for people to make dresses. She was just the person that you would want to love, and everyone loved her. Some people refer to her as Miss May, Aunt May, Sister May. She had all the May name in the district. And I really want to honor and adore her for this show. Yes. Likewise, I have an aunt who is my only living aunt right now. And she reminds me so much of my grandmother too, because she's very, very caring. She has everyone's phone number. If I want a number for a family member right now, I can call her in England and say, Auntie Jean, where's Beverly number? Where's Charlotte number? And she can give it to you. She is in charge of everybody. She's like the family, the mother of the family. And she's 80 years old, very intact.
Keep it all together.
Yes, she's the glue. And she's the only living auntie, and I love and adore her spirit, her knowledge, her everything. And, we have to really reflect on these people, because a lot of times we look up to people who are above us, or people who are in high places, but we ignore the people who are around us, or locals, or our own family member in front of us. But we have to adore them and love them, So I'm appreciative of this show, and I really wanted to say that regarding my grandmother and my aunt. Thank you.
Right.
Absolutely.
Wonderful.
Absolutely.
That's great, Maxie, because that was my next point. That was my next point in my script. Yes, about, family matriarch.
When you think about a lady like
strength and wisdom.
What's that, Jackie?
Oh, there's a delay, so I tend to talk over you. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, I'm saying there's a delay, so I'm talking over you.
Yes.
But I'm thinking of Max's grandmother, a lady that couldn't read. This lady couldn't read, and she was able to deliver babies. You know how intricate that is?
Yeah, so that's a wisdom
to bring a life
from God,
into this world when we're in school.
Straight from God.
When we're in nursing school.
From God.
That's my grandmother did that. She delivered me. My grandmother delivered me. Delivered my mother when I was being born. Me and I think couple of my brothers and sisters. She delivered at home. But the thing is, when we're in school now and we're in nursing school, and we learned about how babies are delivered and all the things that you have to take into consideration. You think is rocket science. You're doing. And this lady, she couldn't read, and look, she was able to deliver babies, bring notes with her to kids or wherever to market to buy stuff. You have to honor people like that.
Yes,
them.
She even kept partner, she kept partner money, and she could count, but she couldn't write, so she would have me write down the name of the people who are in the partner and when then to get the job, all of that. So I was like her little secretary. And even I was doing secretarial work at the time, but that's what I was
that was
doing.
me and my grandmother.
I could read and write.
That benefited both you and her at the same time. You know what I mean?
That was me and my grandmother. Yeah. But my grandmother could read.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying, we have to honor our ancestors, because some things we deliberately try to learn from them. Some wisdom we garnered from them without trying. Just by virtue of them doing it over and over again.
Yes.
It became a part of our lives. It became just a ritual for us, because even now some things would happen, like maybe like us now having grandchildren. You would say, well, this grandchild has such and such and such. And out of the blue, sometimes my daughter would call me and she said, like my granddaughter Bianca right now, she's not feeling so well. Well, earlier this week, she wasn't feeling so well. And by the time my daughter would call and say so-and-so, I find that I would just think of something my grandmother had done to me, or that she had done to one of my sisters or cousins, whatever. And I would say, well, this is good for that, and that is good for that. And you just rely on the wisdom that you acquired, sometimes unwillingly,
right?
You know what I mean?
That's
because
right.
we are always apparently, we look like we're always striving for the unknown, thinking it's better when the best is right under our noses.
Absolutely. Proverbs and wisdom from the elders that still guide us today.
Exactly.
That is so we and we are going to wind down soon, but we also think about our community builders, and we consider them as champions of progress, from educators to shopkeepers, activists to artists. How ordinary Jamaicans have built extraordinary legacies. The impact of Miss Lou, Usain, Shelly Ann, Bob Marley. We think of
Jamaicans have changed the world,
I featured Arthur Wint on Thursday in spreading the culture worldwide. Then the importance of mentorship, entrepreneurship, and investing in our communities, and how modern day leaders continue to push for equal opportunities, economic growth, and empowerment for all Jamaicans. And we could list out so many people, but there are people who were in our community who knew they wanted to make our communities better.
True.
And
different. Yes, true.
When I have my hair a certain way, I remind myself of Mr. Rumble. Long story.
All right.
Mr.
Rumble.
So Kenneth Rumble. He was so Mr. Rumble was a stalwart in our community, and a man who he was a historian. He knew the history of the community, and
Okay.
he really made an impact. And now they're having a homecoming reunion. Hopefully, if it comes off in October, and they're planning to, erect something in his honor, that kind of thing. But you really have seen people who they were like the Marcus or the somebody of your community. So keep talking,
Yes.
ladies. I have to take an urgent call here. So please continue the conversation.
Yeah.
Okay, so I wanted to give a story. That
go right
a little
ahead.
story about myself as a child growing up. So we had this machine in our kitchen, because we had outside kitchen then. And there was this machine that was stuck in the corner. We kept watering it. We refer to it as the washing machine. I think I've told this story before on one of these shows about the washing machine. And I'm like, but I never understood it then, because I was only a kid. We put water in it. There was no way to drain it. All we did was pour water. It had a big cover, like a pot, big. It kept the water very cool and nice and refreshing. And we'd fill it up, and when we go out, I'd go down to the bottom and it get kind of murky in the bottom. We'd bail out the water in the bottom, wipe it out, because there was no way to run it out. There was no opening to run it out, and we'd refill it again. And we refer to it as the washing machine. That was our drinking water. So as I became an adult a few years ago, I thought about it and I look back and I'm saying to myself, the washing machine is washing machine. That means somebody used to wash clothes in it, because it was an old washing machine. So
how did that arrive? How did it arrive at your yard?
Yes,
I know. How did it get? And I'm not talking about anything that's light and it's metal. It's real iron. Inside of it is steel. And so it's nice and clean and shiny, and the inside, but outside was kind of rusty looking, and old, and it was just jacked in the corner. So I'm thinking to myself, I'm looking back and I'm like, where did this come from? How did it get in my grandmother's kitchen? And how come we drink water out of a washing machine?
Well,
that's my biggest question now as an adult, because somebody was washing clothes, and I'm sure it probably broke or something, and them decided to come put it in my grandmother's yard, and they end up in the kitchen, and we're drinking water from it. Because now we wash clothes in the machine, not drink water from it. So we end up drinking water from this machine. So I even wrote an article about it, and I made a video of it, and it's on my YouTube page too, about the washing machine. Because until today, I can't imagine we were drinking water from a washing machine. Goes to show, how we weren't knowledgeable back then.
Was it?
Knowing how I would have drank water from a washing machine, huh?
So was it hollow inside? Yes, did it have like a how I'm washing it has that thing that comes up in the middle, that the rotator thing that was that there?
It has one here, but it's not as tall as that's there too, but it wasn't as tall as the ones I know. It was really on the shorter side. So, but inside is shiny and big and pretty. They could fit a whole comforter in there. The big extra size comforter, like a king size comforter, you could fit in there. Yes, but it's shiny and nice, and the cover was like a pot cover, like a metal pot cover. Right. When you cover it, make all that nice. Make all that nice. You could lift it up and cover it back. Yes, that's how it was.
Good morning.
So until today, I can't figure out how it ended up there and where it came from, because I was only a little picnic, so I mean I know the full story of it, but as I become I reflect and look back.
No.
And as a child, you're not gonna question your grandmother.
Asking it's because
I wouldn't gonna question
No, you're looking back. You're looking back at it. No, back then you
wouldn't. You wouldn't even question it. Because
no, I mean, I'm just no.
Another thing that I always wonder about is when we're going up, we had to go to wells and springs for water, and I sometimes look back and wonder if those wells and springs still there, and if they still exist. If it's something I could see. A lot of times I said, oh my God, I wish I could go back, revisit these places that I went to as a child and see what these wells and springs look like. People still pick. Well, nobody not taking water from them because everybody have standpipe now or pipe in their yard or in their homes. But those are something that I always tend to sit back and reflect on.
Yeah, what I realized in my old district, they have plugged up all of the the standpipes. When we were kids, there were standpipes. There were standpipes at regular intervals, you know. So when you pass Miss Fisher Yard and you go down there to Miss Nelsie, run one pipe, run a fair gate, and if you're thirsty in between, when you reach run a Mr. Birch lane there. So, but no, all the pipes they have stopped them up now because everybody are going to shop go buy bottled water. So it's like
our people have pipes in their yard or in their house.
Not only people are piping in them yard, but the bottled water pays.
So on the subject of water, when I was a child, we had to go to river. Grandma used to send us, to the river. We find a cave. There was a cave close by, and we'd crawl under the cave to go catch water. And the water from under there was very cool and clear. And we'd fill up our buckets, carry it on our heads, and bring it home. And then they started to run pipes through the district. You had the standpipes, but a lot of times there was no water there. Then they started to run the pipes. You had the pipes coming.
But when sun hot, I remember when they changed the taps them to the press top, because they took off the one you could just screw off, and we have press pipes. Because they were trying to not let people waste water.
I remember them.
Right. But sometimes when the sun was very hot and then you stop for a drink, you have to let it run off a bit because the front part of it would be hot. Because I don't want it to wash
I remember that.
you want it to drink. Yeah, your face or your hands.
Yes.
You pick up some mango, a smuddy mango tree, and you want to wash your hand when you're done.
Wash it.
Go ahead, Jackie. Sorry, the pipe thing me I talk about.
Oh,
Jackie.
Lady D's talking. We're not hearing her. She's muted. Lady D's talking. She's muted.
Oh, okay. They run the pipe like halfway. They run the pipe like.
Go ahead,
Jackie. Oh, Lady D's back. No, I'm saying they run the pipe like halfway into the yard, and then now you have to take it from the gate.
So where to the spot where you want it? Yeah.
You know, my grandparents didn't have the money to run the pipe all the way into the house. So it just came like halfway up. And then over the years that those water mains weren't maintained and they were gone. And it's been 30 years. And they just rerun the whole district with water pipes now. And those people have been advocating for water in the district because there's water. There's water there. There's water source there. Several water sources. So they just recently rerun the whole district with water, and everybody now has water. So the pipe and carry water situation, and people were buying water from the water commission, or other people now started to come in the district and sell people water. Well, now people have water right through the district. So we thank God for that. But when we didn't have all of that fanciness, I remember my grandmother had a clay. She had a clay pot, like a clay goblet. And when you put water in that thing and like put it outside and it's covered, cool. When you take it in the morning, water is so cool and it lasts cool, it stays cool for a while, because for a moment we didn't have any refrigerator. You know, growing up, we didn't have a refrigerator. So that water was so cool, you think that it's from the fridge.
Yeah, we had one, Jackie. We had one. That very big one.
So
we are icy cold, like say you had ice in it, but it kept it nice and cool.
Yes.
We're still not hearing you. We're not hearing
you. Yeah, she's trying to speak, but it's not coming through.
No.
She's muted. I can see the mute. We're not hearing you. No.
Oh shit. Is something disconnected?
I don't know. She took herself off and then she's gonna have to try to get back in.
Yes. And then come back.
Yeah, well, Max, you're those
were the days.
Washing machine water. So here you are. You go the same way.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
Good same way. And
It's
that,
funny because
those things are what kept us.
Exactly. It built
Those
up
things are
yes,
what kept
immunity.
us,
honestly,
right, Max? Keep you strong.
Yeah.
people strong. Yes, absolutely did. Yes.
Nothing.
No, we're
if you
still not
never,
hearing.
Did the decaf?
if you never tell, if you never tell us, if you don't tell nobody, nobody wouldn't know. So
Well, it's
there's
on
something
YouTube.
in that water that keep you.
I did tell the story on YouTube. It's a video on YouTube
I'm gonna,
about the washing machine. Cause boy, there's something that you need to
I'm gonna
document
look for it.
and let it be known. Yes, I'm still here and it didn't hurt me, never kill me. I'm still there.
That's it.
But back then, too, when we get water
We're gonna look
from
for it.
spring and
We're
river,
gonna
we
look
never
for
boil
it.
anything.
But
People say
that
you have to
also,
boil water.
Yeah, we
but that
want
also
boiling
shows you how
water.
innovative, how
We were.
innovative our ancestors or grandparents, great grandparents, how innovative they were.
Yeah.
Yeah. They
Yeah.
just take something that would probably nowadays would just throw that out, but that was of
Throw
great
it out.
value,
They
and she saw
recycled
another
everything.
purpose for that.
Exactly.
That's repurposing,
Yeah.
That's
They recycled it.
repurposing something.
Yeah.
Yes.
Recycle, we use repurpose. That's repurposing something.
Recycle.
Because the purpose of it was to wash clothes.
Nothing
But
was
grandma now
wasted.
use it as our
Really?
our water storage.
Yeah, it would
Yeah.
have to disintegrate.
Agree.
No.
Say, well, this is done. They would use it over and pass it down and do all they can to make sure that every last good use was made of whatever it is. Because that's what
Yes,
they learned.
absolutely.
That is what they learned. You didn't
And I'm
waste
sure
it.
it was owned by some rich person. Because who could afford washing machine in the days there?
Exactly. Can you, if you were to trace where that came from, you would probably be surprised.
Yes.
It took a long trip to get to where you
Maybe
were.
some rich people was throwing it out, because back then the rich people
Yes.
probably was throwing it out.
People were rich.
Yeah.
But
Dee,
also
are you back
the
with us?
manpower it would take to get it to where you were. We don't know. We have got to finish off
She's
the
still not
with
coming
sign
through.
language
Are you back with us, Dee?
in person, but we can't hear her.
All right.
Yeah, something got
can't hear her.
disconnected
She's
somewhere.
gonna wrap up. She said,
She said she's gonna wrap it up. Yeah.
Yes. But
Yes.
I think at this stage we have to wrap up though.
Somebody just
Yes.
said,
is she able to?
She will come on before because I didn't want to call the devil name. So I think it's Arlene. Say, thank you for the positive vibes there, Arlene. I don't know what happened. We can't hear her. So might as well we go ahead and wrap up.
Yeah, wrap it up because
yes. So let's wrap up. But it has been a wonderful morning, just reminiscing and reconnecting with our ancestors and the things that they did that made us who we are today. Because it's because of some of these things that they have done why we we're the way we are today, the way we learn, the way we talk to people, the way we communicate, the way we function in our churches, in our homes, in our communities. It's all because of what we learned or what we have acquired from our ancestors. You want to say anything, Sharons and Max?
Yeah. I just wanted to quote a Bible verse, Leviticus 19, verse 32. Says, you shall rise before the gray-headed and honor the presence of an old man and fear your God. I am the Lord. So we are nothing without our forebears or foreparents, their parents. They have brought us to this point, and let us be proud of who we are. We don't know what the future brings, because one day our grandchildren will be talking about us the way we are talking about our grandparents now. And we can only hope and pray that something has been embedded in them that they will cling on to in the days to come.
Very well said. And I just want to say that history is never dead. It is always here. Every day we do something, we're creating history. And we're thankful that we're able to even be on the show, creating history. So thanks to everyone who joined. Have a wonderful weekend and you all be blessed. One love.
All right. Take care.
All right. Take care, everyone.
He was a commanding figure, a ruggedly handsome and stylish gentleman who was very sure of himself. He was born William Alexander Clark in Blenheim, Hanover in as he watched Cuban workers agitate for better working conditions. Upon his return home in 1934 at age 50, Bustamante set up his business in downtown Kingston. This brought him in daily contact with the woe and misery of the Jamaican people. He bombarded the Gleaner, the island's main newspaper, with letters about the plight of Jamaican workers. These letters were regarded as hostile and earned him some unsavory labels such as pest, communist, and usurper. Around September 1937, Bustamante seemed to have taken the decision to be the voice of change for the Jamaican worker. He took his campaign to the street corners and homes all over the island. From Westmoreland to Kingston, Bustamante drummed up support, encouraging workers to protest for better working conditions. He was affectionately called Buster or Chief, the champion in the struggle for workers' rights. Those whom he represented stretched from the sugar fields in the west to the docks of Kingston and to the banana fields in the east. And Jamaicans embraced him wholeheartedly. Buster's determination to represent the workers made him a thorn in the side of the colonial authorities. His now famous battle cry, "Shoot me, but let my people go," made him a hero in the eyes of those he represented. The workers' confidence in him translated into mass support for the Bustamante Industrial Trade Union, which he formed in May 1938. In no time, it was a tremendous success. The support also spilled over into the Jamaica Labour Party, which Buster formed in 1943 to compete in the 1944 election, the year of universal adult suffrage. Buster's success in the election carried over to the next election, and he won a second term in office in 1949. He became Jamaica's first chief minister and started the work to get Jamaica to become a part of the British West Indian Federation. Jamaica became a member in 1958 during the term of office of the other political party, the People's National Party. However, Buster later changed his mind about Jamaica being a part of the Federation, as he felt that it would drain Jamaica's resources to help the other British territories. Buster again took up the role of the defender of the Jamaican people, who backed him when they voted by a referendum to withdraw Jamaica from the Federation and start Jamaica's move towards independence. His political first came again when the JLP won the 1962 election, and at age 78, Bustamante was named the first Prime Minister of an independent Jamaica. 2 years later, due to illness, he left the political scene and in 1967 retired from public life. The nation's highest honor, National Hero, was conferred upon Alexander Bustamante in 1967. Here again, he created history, being the only person to have received this honor while still alive. Bustamante lived for 10 years after, basking in the rewards of his labor. Today, there are numerous monuments that honor his memory and the part he played in the history of this nation. Alexander Bustamante died on August 6, 1977, 15 years to the day that he stood proudly to witness his ultimate success for the Jamaican people. independence.
Norman Washington Manley's contribution to national development began in earnest when he returned to Jamaica after having completed his studies in England in 1922. He was a barrister whose prowess in the criminal courts, civil and appeal courts laid the foundation for what was to be his life's work in Jamaica's political arena. His path to politics started with his advocacy on behalf of the country's banana growers who wanted to establish a banana shipping company. The Boston-based United Fruit Company, at the time the dominant force in the Jamaica export trade, was, however, stiffly opposed to this, and it was Norman Manley's skillful negotiation that brought an end to the impasse which had developed. His work resulted in the export company setting aside 1 cent per stem of banana exported from Jamaica to form a fund, the proceeds of which would go toward the welfare of the Jamaican people. Norman Manley was chairman of that company for 10 years. He recruited volunteers who would work through community projects and cottage industries to change the quality of life of the Jamaican masses. Norman Manley had recognized the importance of economic and social advancement to the further development of the people. He wanted them to have a better quality of life and greater access to basic amenities. With such deep concern for the conditions of the poor, it is not surprising that he was catapulted into active political life by the events of 1938. Jamaica was going through a tumultuous period with the impending turn from colonial to self-rule. Industrial strikes broke out across the island. From Frome in Westmoreland to Kingston, dock workers were up in arms.
The most remarkable, spontaneous movement. It was just a rebellion against hard conditions. And by midday, the city was like a graveyard. But I remember next day, I toured the city. Nothing but sullen crowds at street corners, policemen, soldiers, guns, bayonets. And I wondered what was going to happen.
Resulting from the upheaval, Norman's cousin Alexander Bustamante, who was recognized as the labor leader, was arrested. He asked Norman to represent the striking workers who were determined not to return to work until Bustamante was released. Norman was heading for the political arena.
And that night I made up my mind. And I put an advertisement in the leading newspaper of Jamaica that I would represent all the striking groups in the country.
Norman's skill as a negotiator held him in good stead as the striking workers calmed and Bustamante was released. One issue which he set out to address was that of the voting franchise for the Jamaican masses. He was among those who helped to wring from a reluctant Britain full adult suffrage in 1944. But Manley wanted more for Jamaica. He wanted Jamaica to have full control over its internal affairs. The stopgap British Constitution, which had been instituted in 1944, had given the colonial government executive powers, so Norman Manley became deeply involved in the fight for a new constitution. This was realized in 1954 and firmly established the ministerial responsibility of elected representatives of the people. Norman Washington Manley strove for self-government in a climate largely hostile to the idea. He set out to restructure the consciousness of the Jamaican people, to attain full adult suffrage and construct a new constitution. After having given exemplary service to his country, Norman Washington Manley retired from politics in July of 1969. He died in September of that same year at 76, and thereafter was declared a national hero.
It was Christmas time in 1831, and Samuel Sharp, an educated Creole slave and a deacon at the Burchell Baptist Church in Montego Bay, was fine-tuning the plans for the first sit-down labor strike in Jamaica. The plan was to have an all-island sit-down strike by slaves at the end of the 3-day Christmas holidays between December 25 and December 27. It was the ideal time, as the sugarcane crop would be ready for harvesting by then, and if it wasn't reaped quickly, the crop would spoil. To lose a whole crop of cane spelled certain economic disaster for the island, which depended heavily on sugar as the main income earner. Sam Sharp believed that the planters would be compelled to negotiate freedom and salaries for the slaves returned to work. The plan of passive resistance didn't work. On December 27, the Kensington Estate Great House was set on fire. It was felt that several slaves, drunk from the lavish distribution of rum during the merry season, started the fires. The destruction and the terrible loss of lives on that day and ensuing months have gone down in the pages of history as the Christmas Rebellion. Sam Sharp's freedom campaign never turned out the way he planned. He gave himself up to the authorities in a bid to end the slave killings and accepted responsibility for the rebellion, even though a number of actions were taken that did not meet with his approval. He was found guilty of inciting rebellion and administering unlawful oaths. Daddy Sharp, as his followers affectionately called him, is now seen as the predecessor of the trade union movement, as he fought for the labor rights of slaves. Sam Sharp's life holds many valuable lessons for Jamaicans today. Although born in poverty, regarded as nothing more than an inanimate object by society, he taught himself to read, argued constructively, and presented himself always as a man of honor. This man of remarkable intellect, courage, and physical and moral authority succeeded in imparting his vision to more than 20,000 slaves in 5 parishes, instilling in them the desire to fight for the freedom so many of us enjoy today. It was his selflessness which propelled Sam Sharp to hero status in 1975. The year was 1865. The former slaves had been emancipated 27 years prior to that date. But freedom, a long-awaited dream for those who had toiled long and hard under the master's whip, remained just that, a dream. Times were hard, the workers were impoverished, wages were extremely low, and there was little scope for educational advancement. Peasant farmers were unable to procure land. In fact, the way land was distributed showed up the irregularities of the legal system. The hard times were further complicated by a prolonged drought in the early 1860s, and the American Civil War, which cut off supplies from the United States, led to a food shortage. Added to this boiling stew of discontent was a lack of public confidence in the government. In these troubled times, Paul Bogle, a Baptist deacon, emerged as a leader among his people. He has been described as a man who had a social conscience, high morals, and determination. Born in 1822 in Stony Gut, an area a few miles north of Morant Bay in St. Thomas, Paul Bogle had great influence and was greatly respected in his district. Although he had very little formal education, he was a successful small farmer. But he shared with his friend George William Gordon a concern for the plight of the people and was driven to protest for social and political reforms. This concern led him to form a committee to take the grievances of the people of Morant Bay to the Governor John Eyre. And so, on the morning of August 12, 1865, Bogle and his delegation walked the 45 miles from Stony Gut to Spanish Town. But their efforts were in vain, as Governor Eyre refused to grant them audience. Disappointed, enraged, tired, and discouraged, Bogle and his followers trudged back to Stony Gut. Despite the encouragement of his friend George William Gordon to send a deputation to England, Bogle decided to use his own methods. He held secret meetings in the hills, drilling a number of his followers to form a small army. And on October 11, Bogle and about 300 followers marched on Morant Bay. After sacking the police station, the angry crowd moved to the courthouse, where they were fired upon by the militia. In the ensuing battle, the courthouse and several other buildings were burnt, and a number of persons from both sides of the conflict were killed. The governor declared martial law on October 13, and hundreds of protesters were flogged, shot, or hanged. Bogle tried to organize his forces to resist the militia, to no avail. On October 23, he was captured by a party of Maroons and brought to Morant Bay for trial. He was hanged the next day. The actions of Paul Bogle and his followers had a number of consequences. The whites feared that the Morant Bay Rebellion could turn into a race war. They also feared that with the black majority being able to vote and becoming more and more qualified, the House of Assembly would eventually be dominated by blacks and browns. The rebellion also raised the issue of policing the Jamaican countryside. The Crown also became more involved in the running of Jamaica and implemented several measures to deal with the existing poverty and hardships in the country. The St. Catherine irrigation system was one of the immediate outcomes, and more organizations were set up to deal with the conditions of poverty. In the early 1800s, the wealthy Scottish planter Joseph Gordon owned a large sugar estate in the parish of St. Andrew and lived in a beautiful Georgian great house on its grounds. In 1820, Joseph Gordon fathered a son with a slave woman. He was named George William Gordon. George William was not born a slave, although he was born before emancipation. He spent most of his childhood in the house set up by his father for his children born of this slave woman. From an early age, George William's father noticed his keen interest in books and encouraged him to study. The young Gordon was also a great orator and took part in religious debates at an early age. Gordon's commitment to religion never waned. He started an independent Baptist organization and erected a tabernacle in Kingston where he often preached. Gordon helped his followers to open chapels in many parts of the island and also ordained several deacons, including Paul Bogle of Stony Gut. In later years, this educated gentleman became a successful businessman. He concentrated on buying and leasing lands, which he cut up and sold or sublet cheaply to the Negro peasants, who at the time had great difficulty obtaining land. He also sold them livestock and organized a marketing system through which they could sell their produce at fair prices. Emancipation was not a welcome change for most of the planter class in Jamaica, and many tried by various means to hinder the progress of blacks. Gordon was a member of the wealthy middle class who did his best to help the free slaves. When he entered politics, he used this medium to speak out frequently about the unjust treatment of this group. By 1865, the social and economic crisis in Jamaica had reached a dangerous level. The harshness and insensitivity of the then governor, Edward Eyre, did nothing to relieve the tension. Gordon was outraged by the conditions he saw. Although he wanted to see a change in the social and material conditions of the blacks, he never advocated violence as a means of achieving this change. As a member of the Jamaican Assembly, he spoke out on behalf of the poor Negroes and bitterly criticized Governor Eyre. It was therefore ironic that he was blamed for instigating and supporting the Morant Bay Rebellion in St. Thomas. Despite the lack of evidence, Governor Eyre issued a warrant for his arrest. On hearing this, George William Gordon gave himself up to the authorities and was quickly taken to Morant Bay, where he was illegally tried and sentenced to death. Gordon was hanged with 18 other persons on October 23, 1865. The residential area, now known as Cherry Gardens, is the former estate where George William Gordon was born.
Wherever there has been slavery, there has been resistance and marronage, the act of slaves running away from plantations to set up free societies outside the area of oppression. The Jamaican Maroons today remain an important symbol of resistance and the desire for freedom. Their origins date back to 1655, when the British captured Jamaica from the Spaniards. With the arrival of the British, the slaves brought here by the Spaniards escaped from the plantations. They took to the hills, where they established themselves apart from the new rulers of the island. During their settlement of the island, the British brought more slaves from Africa to work on the sugar plantations. Some of these slaves also ran away to the hills and joined the original Maroons, thereby increasing their numbers. Nanny was part of this militant tradition of runaway black slaves. Not long after arriving in Jamaica, she and her 5 brothers escaped from the estate on which they were placed. They chose to live in different parts of the island. Of the 6, Nanny and Kwao went to Portland, Kojo went to St. James, and Akampong went to St. Elizabeth. Interestingly enough, they all became leaders of the Maroons in each of these areas, with Nanny being made leader of the Blue Mountain rebel town, later renamed Nanny Town. Nanny and her people kept close watch over the settlement, warding off numerous attacks by the British. The Maroons had escaped, but many more Africans were in captivity. Nanny hated the severe cruelty that was being meted out to them, particularly the female slaves and their children. So she and other Maroons repeatedly raided their estates, often setting free the slaves and taking food and weapons. Nanny was a fierce warrior, a military leader. Her skill in planning warfare came to be widely known and respected even by the British. For over 50 years, she led over 800 Maroons through many battles with the enemy. While Nanny's brother Kojo made peace with the British by signing a peace treaty in 1739, Nanny refused to sign one. She would only agree to a truce. Nanny died sometime in the 1750s and was laid to rest at Bump Grave in Maroon Town. In 1975, the UN declared Year of the Woman. She was declared a national heroine. While history records stories of other women who fought the British as fiercely as Nanny did, there is no other more outstanding, more revered than Nanny of the Maroons.